Hi, Scott again. Just doing my entry for part two, a little story or kind of a takeaway from my childhood or adolescence through a little story. And I guess I need to provide a little context to this little story. Um, I grew up in a really small town in Manitoba, and I changed schools a number of times for a number of reasons, but then landed in grade seven and had the same school, grade seven through 12. And it was the same, like 30, 35 people from that year through. And I am a mature student, and it is my 20-year reunion this year. And so I'm helping organize that. So I'm thinking about high school a bunch in the last while. But um, so a little story from that era that gets me thinking about psychology and interactions is in a small farming school. There was really not a lot of contact. We had no school counselors. I had no contact with any school counselors or social worker or anything in my childhood, adolescence, at least not that I knew about. Um, and so, growing up in that context, the only interaction I had, and this is the story I'll tell, is I think it was in grade eight. We did a little bubble inventory, and we were going to get a counselor that was going to come to our school and talk to us about our futures. And each of us got some time with them. And so we did the inventory earlier, and then my interaction with the counselor, I'm sure it was just a teacher, but we got into he discussed the results with us, and I got into a room with him, and he just kind of said, like, turns out you'd make a really good, the results say you make a really good farmer or historian. um, and I might have like asked one or two questions, but I don't even think the interaction was 5 minutes. It definitely wasn't 5 minutes. And so um, but anyway, that was my first interaction with counselor. I wish I would have had some of an experience, whether a friend of a family or somebody I would have known as a counselor, but I didn't have any exposure. So I mean, that trickles into like kind of being a late bloomer here, like finding counseling psychology later in life and wanting to make a go at it. Um, but then also, I don't know, I guess one of the takeaways is also, well, for myself, like we didn't have much behavioral testing in the small school that I went to. So now as an adult, I recognize that there's some ADHD traits that may have been picked up earlier, better at an earlier time, and now I've gone through some testing and work with that. But then also, I guess one of the takeaways is that like we never know kind of the role or representation that we have in people's lives. Um, and so I don't know, a title is something that I've always been a little uncomfortable with. And so rather than maybe a counselor coming and having this big kind of air title, now I guess the encouragement is to kind of share a little more of um, like what I could do with kids maybe, or people, like, hey, I can help provide an open space for you to explore yourself and explore some changes that you're really interested in, or if I'm here for you if you want someone to talk to. But rather than kind of parking the whole like I'm a psychologist or counselor, it might be more functional to kind of talk about how I can be a more approachable kind of role. So anyway, that's the encouragement. I'll post a little bit um, about cultural influences as well. But thank you for watching.